Into the Heart of Advent, Chapter 20, Shepherds. Our Bible reading is from Luke 2, verses 15 to 20, and I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version, the Anglicised edition. When the angels had left them and gone into heaven, the shepherds said to one another, "Let us go now to Bethlehem and see this thing that has taken place, which the Lord has made known to us." So they went with haste and found Mary and Joseph and the child lying in the manger. And when they saw this, they made known what had been told them about this child, and all who heard it were amazed at what the shepherds told them. But Mary treasured all these words and pondered them in her heart. The shepherds returned, glorifying and praising God for all they had heard and seen, as it had been told them. There's something about the winter night, isn't there? So dark and deep and cold. And it just goes on for so long. It's like falling down a well or groping blind. It seems to draw your soul right out of its socket, drifting away from its moorings. You lose yourself. It feels like midnight, like 2 a.m. It seems to have been night forever. Must surely be time to go to bed now. And then you look at the clock and it's something paltry like 7:15. I never want to go anywhere at night in the winter, just stay at home by the fire like a bear in its cave waiting for the spring. And tomorrow is the winter solstice, bearing the weight of the year's longest night. But life goes on, and things still have to be done. So I walked along to Asda with Jesus to get some tea bags and cat food. Not for the cat, for the seagulls. They stand outside the window on the water butt, our seagull pair, gazing at the food in the kitchen with longing eyes, rapping on the glass with their beaks if we take too long getting theirs. They should be called scavenger gulls, not herring gulls, but my personal conviction is that they should be eating fish, so I get them cat food. I feed the crows and the fox, the badger and the gulls and the songbirds, and I'm willing to share the kale I grow with the thousands of munching offspring the butterflies leave behind. I love this earth and its creatures. According to my light, I do what I can to take care of it, I say to Jesus as we stroll along the road home in the darkness. Yes, he says, me too. We do it together. Taking in the improbable possibility of my small-scale contribution being in any sense part of the work of Jesus, I think of the shepherds on the night he was born, alerted by angels lighting up the night like emergency vehicles, coming down from the hillside to see the Saviour of the world. They left their sheep, I say. The great thing about Jesus is you don't need to patiently explain your train of thought. He knows anyway. I suppose that was okay, I continue. Sheep can look after themselves for a few hours. Mind you, so can wolves and mountain lions and jackals. Are there jackals in the hills above Bethlehem? Yes, says Jesus. What a night that was, I ruminate. There they were, minding their own business. I expect they had a little fire to sit by, and maybe one of them was playing a pipe to pass the time, and then suddenly the skies opened and they saw the glory all around us that we can never normally see, even though it's always there. And they didn't just say, "Thank you very much, how interesting." They actually bothered to make the journey to find you. And then afterwards, when they'd seen you, there was nothing else to do but go back up the hill to check on the sheep and carry on where they left off. But it must have changed them, those shepherds, don't you think? "I'm entirely sure it did," says Jesus. "You know my story of the prodigal son?" "Yes, of course I do." It's something like that. You leave home, leave your regular occupation, whatever it may be. You leave behind your flocks and fields or your father's farm and go in search of the vision that speaks to you, or the siren voices that call you, like the 3 little pigs who went into the world to seek their fortune. And later you go home. But when you get back, everything is different. Not only because life goes on and circumstances change while you're away, but also because you yourself have changed. Finding the courage to leave home and learning the way home again, these are 2 of the greatest endeavours in life. Also, I say, there's a knock-on effect for the people around you. The prodigal son had an uptight brother who needed to be told he was allowed to have a party. The shepherds must have had partners and friends, and surely they didn't keep what they saw to themselves. "Probably not," says Jesus, "though truth is, as they say, stranger than fiction. You can tell people, but they usually don't believe you. It's hard to recognise the unfamiliar. That's what I mean. It takes courage to leave home." A thought comes to me. "You left home too that night," I say, "and what a phenomenal act of trust and vulnerability that was. You came to stay with us for a while. And when you went back home, you held all the torn threads of human sorrow in your hand and connected them up again with the broken other ends in the Father's love. You took the whole world back with you when you went home again. And it hurt you. You came here with nothing in your hands, a defenceless child, and you left your body nailed to a cross at the end. I think of you as changeless, because that's what I've always been taught, but it isn't true. Because when you went home, you had scars." "That's right," says Jesus. "Every journey changes you. You go home different. But whatever they did to you, and however much you suffered, you do still get to go home in the end, because I opened the way. That's what I came here to do."